I'm currently walking through Borderfield State Park, located at the most southwestern corner of the continental United States. Now, this park was first established in 1971, and much of this land, which is south of the U.S. Naval Base here, was once military land and used for military purposes, which, might make a lot of sense when you think about the Navy's presence here in the region by San Diego. But today it is known as Borderfield State Park, and there's also the Tijuana River Estuary and also Friendship Park. So there are a couple different sites here that are worth seeing that all abut right up against the border wall with Mexico, as well as the Pacific Ocean. So I'm gonna be walking around, exploring a little bit. I've never been here, and hopefully learning a little bit more about the history along the way. The road that goes all the way deep into the park to Friendship Park is actually only open for select windows during the weekend. So it being a weekday, I have to walk about 1.5 miles in. But that's okay, it's good exercise, but also I get to really appreciate all the geography and the vegetation that is here at Border State Park. But here in the distance, I'm starting to see the actual border wall with Mexico, which is kind of cool. I'm not really sure how close I'm gonna be able to get to it. I believe it's actually a series of 2 walls. But I am interested to see what it looks like a little bit closer, and also to see the portion of the wall that extends out into the Pacific Ocean. Here I am coming up on the border wall, and this is the border between Mexico and the United States. And I'm not entirely sure, this might actually be the closest I'm able to get to it during this visit. But it's really interesting to see how it is built all along the hills and divots and the undulations here of the landscape. And over here, you can really see the 2 different walls that it actually is here on this portion. So there's 2 different barriers there as it snakes around and up and over that hill. And one other thing that really strikes me, looking over here on the United States side, of course, with this being former military land and a protected estuary, it's all just landscape and trails. But when you look over on the Mexico side, it is extremely built up. There's a town over there, there's homes, apartments, there's some high rises, and you can't really see it right now because of this hill, but there's actually a stadium as well. So quite the contrast here at America's southwesternmost point. I'm continuing down the trail towards Friendship Park, and it essentially parallels the border wall here. But I thought as I was conducting this part of the walk, I'd talk a little bit about the history here. So this wall was not always here. I think that's pretty obvious. And it was really after the Mexican-American War, which ended in 1848, that they began to establish the formal border between Mexico and the United States. And that came out of the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. And they actually started here at the southwestern corner to begin mapping out and marking that border. And for most of that history, there was really nothing here physically separating the 2 countries. Even as recent as the 60s and the 70s, you might have had some strands of barbed wire, some chain link fence, a low-hanging rope, but really nothing separating the 2 countries. And I know even as recent as the 1980s, people here in San Diego recall just walking down the beach and crossing over to Mexico, maybe going fishing, surfing, whatever, walking back, riding their bikes into Mexico and back. It was a lot more fluid than it is today. Well, this was unexpected. As I continue up the road to Friendship Park, I'm actually a lot closer to the border wall than I expected I would get. This is really interesting. And just to reiterate, there is really nothing here. Just on the other side of the wall, on the American side. You can see the ocean down there, very beautiful. And through the 2 walls, you can see some of the buildings. I'm hearing a lot of music, a lot going on over there. And here we are approaching the southwest corner of the United States. And there's this neat little sign, talks a little bit about the history. You're standing on Monument Mesa in Borderfield State Park, at the beginning of the 2,000-mile border with Mexico. Why start the boundary right here? The 1848 Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo described the border's approximate location, but ultimately it took the cooperation of surveyors from both Mexico and the US to agree on the exact spot. And there is an original monument that was dedicated here in 1849. And this touches on it a little bit. It states that the access to the monument can be arranged through the US Border Patrol. So as you can imagine, the monument is on the actual border, which is in between these two walls. So unfortunately, I did not arrange anything in advance with Border Patrol, so I'm not able to go in and look at it, but we're gonna see if we can take a glimpse at it from here through the fence. Okay, you're not gonna be able to see this on camera, but I actually do see the monument through the wall there, and it is closer to it appears closer to the Mexico side. It's actually right on the border. So the first wall that you have over in the distance is right on the border with Mexico, which is where the monument is, which again I can see and I know you cannot. I'll put a picture up here so you know what it looks like. And this second wall here that's closer to us is further into American territory, which obviously makes sense. We're not going to be building a wall into their country's sovereign land. So the first wall, again, is right on the border, which is where the monument is. And this second wall here is a little bit further into American territory, which explains why I can't really see it very well, but it is there. This side of the sign gives a little bit of history about the estuary. From these bluffs, you can look down at the Tijuana estuary. 10,000 years ago, these wetlands were part of a broad, deep-water lagoon, teeming with fish and shellfish. Good fishing was a huge draw for ancient peoples, making this area one of the first to be settled in San Diego. And I'm not sure exactly what that map's showing. It looks like the changes in the shoreline from 10,000 years ago to 3,500 years ago to the estuary reserve now. And that's something I guess I haven't really thought about, the changes of the actual shoreline of not just California, but of the country over thousands of years. So interesting thought. That's cool that they touch on that here. Now I'm gonna wander down to the beach, making sure I stay on the trail here, to check out apparently some horses, because that's cool, people down here on horseback, but also the actual portion of the border wall that goes into the ocean, the true southwest corner. And there it is, the southwesternmost corner of the United States of America. And this is pretty cool. We have some folks on horseback coming out this way. I'm actually surprised with how close you're able to get to the border wall, and it really, at least at current tide, only extends out into the ocean, I don't know, maybe 100 feet or so. Of course, there is a lot of border patrol around here. I finally did see an agent up here at the park, but otherwise it's pretty quiet, pretty peaceful, and really beautiful here on the beach. And I could pretty much walk right up to the wall. I'm not going to do it here, especially because all the signage, I know I'm not supposed to, but you know, I'm 50 feet away from it, maybe. It was really interesting. I'm definitely surprised, like I said, for how close I'm able to get to it. But I'm gonna go ahead and head down to the beach and check that out a little bit closer. Man, this is wild. I can already see on the Mexico side there are dozens and dozens of people right there at the wall. And here on my side, other than the folks on horseback that took off and this one person walking the beach, it's just me. I am the only person here at the southwestern corner of the United States. How freaking cool is that? But I'm just gonna kind of walk around a little bit to check out what it really looks like down here. Because like I said, that wall only extends out into the ocean. Like it's, you know, maybe 100 feet, not that far. And there are a lot of people literally right there at the wall. Really fascinating. And the part that goes in the ocean, it's only this single wall. And here you can see the opening between the two walls that continue on nearly 2,000 miles, the entire border. With this whole area being protected as a state park and the estuary, it really is a beautiful place to come ride a horse, to go on a hike, to walk around, or just come down to the beach. And as I mentioned, it could be because of the time of the year, time of the week, time of the day, I don't know. But I'm essentially the only person down here. Well, me and my best buddy up there, the Border Patrol agent, and all these seagulls. But it's really cool and really pretty as well. Well, this was a pretty memorable experience. It's going to be hard to beat. I think I had some sort of idea of what I thought this was going to look like or be like prior to visiting. And to be honest with you, other than maybe how the wall looks extending out into the ocean, it really is nothing like I expected. I'm able to get a lot closer than I anticipated. It's really interesting to see other people on the other side of the fence kind of waving to you, and also to realize it really wouldn't be that hard to go out into the surf and go around the wall, while of course Border Patrol does have this area on lockdown. It doesn't necessarily feel that way, which is cool. And being able to walk along the wall and just see the difference between the United States and Mexico, at least in this area, was something I didn't necessarily expect. So definitely learned a lot, gained a better appreciation for the border and what the Border Patrol agents do, because I'm sure it's an extremely difficult and dangerous job. But yeah, very interesting. If you ever get a chance to visit, I highly recommend doing so. I recommend doing it on a weekend when the gates are open so you can actually drive all the way in and not walk in a mile and a half, because I'm not looking forward to the walk back, but that's okay. But that's going to be it for this one. Now it's on to the next journey.